What's up, guys? Welcome to Game of the Week for week number 15. Doing this really late, but luckily for me, the game hasn't been played. We're going to have the 12-1 Bills traveling to visit the 11-2 Buccaneers in what will be a very pivotal game, maybe a preview of the OMFL Bowl this year, because both of these teams are playing red-hot football right now. Let's take a look and see what Daddy Leagues has to say about this game. They're calling for a 2-1 score. Of course, this isn't true. Both of these teams are really good. I don't know what happened to the average score with Daddy Leagues, but it isn't working just yet. This will be an epic game between two very powerful teams. I could argue the number one team in both the AFC and NFC. Taking a look at the Buffalo Bills, they're number one in points. They're 13th in yards, 27th in passing yards, and 5th in rushing yards. Very good rushing team that even though they had some struggles early on, I should say, they've kind of figured those things out. Here's where this team really shines is on defense. They're second in points at 15 points per game, second in yards at 254, first in passing yards allowed, and 13th in rushing yards allowed. But even 13th is still allowing way less than 100 yards per game. If we'll take a look at some stats here, you'll see that this team is really being led by an unknown quarterback who is really proving himself this year in Brett Hundley. 70% completion percentage. Ducks doesn't throw the ball very often, only 283 attempts, but he's very smart with his passing attempts. He's going to find the weak spots and he's going to exploit them. 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, only 16 sacks on the year for a 115.5 quarterback rating. Derrick Henry is really shining since coming over from the Tennessee Titans. 181 rushing attempts, 800 yards, a 4.4 average, and 6 touchdowns. Tyler Irving is throwing in another 431 yards and 5 touchdowns himself. This team knows how to run the ball, and they're going to really make you work for it up front. Sammy Watkins is shining, even though he was on the trading block for most of the season. 53 receptions, 978 yards with 6 touchdowns. Listen to having a solid season. Only 444 total yards with 4 touchdowns is really nice. This is where this team really shines again, is their defense. Whitney Marcellus has 11 sacks in the year, 22 tackles, 3 forced fumbles. Buchanan with 13 interceptions. A lot of touchdowns from both of these teams. They get after the quarterback, they cause you to throw bad throws, and they will pick you off. Not a lot of big high-end tacklers, just because they don't stay on the field that often. They turn you over, they 3-and-out you, and so you're not going to get a lot of guys who have a ton of tackles coming from this team. Now we're going to take a look at the Buccaneers, if I can find them. Buccaneers are one of my favorite teams in the league. On offense, they're 14th with 23 points per game, 21st, 370 total yards, 31st in passing, which is a little disappointing, but again, one of the top rushers in the league, 3rd in the league at 132. Defense, again, is where they shine. 1st in points at 11 points per game, 1st in total yards, 2nd in passing, and 5th in rushing yards allowed. This team knows how to play extremely good defense. It will be strength versus strength, rushing attack versus rushing attack. This will be an epic game, though you probably aren't going to see all the cards laid on the table, since this game really is meaningless for both of these teams. Winston is not having a spectacular year, but a solid year. 19 touchdowns, only 9 interceptions, only 10 sacks, which is really amazing. That offensive line is getting it done. 66% completion percentage, 2,472 passing yards. Charles Sims, 813 rushing yards. Doug Martin, 543 rushing yards. 10 touchdowns from Sims. But if I remember correctly, I could be wrong. Go back here and look. I think he might be out for the season. Yes, Charles Sims is on IR for the rest of the season. So that's going to be a tough thing for him to overcome. But that offensive line is protecting Wilson. And again, Winston, I should say. And again, this team is all about the defense. Mike Evans, 830 yards receiving, 12 touchdowns for an outstanding year for the Tampa Bay Bucs. On defense, They really all get after the quarterback. Ayers has got 7 sacks. Pitts has 8. Matthew Ioannidis has 4. Everybody gets after the quarterback. Even McCoy throws in 6 himself. A ton of forced fumbles. You'll see a bunch of guys with 3s and 2s. You even have Bethel, who came over from the Cardinals. He's got 5 interceptions, but everybody flies to the ball. Everybody makes plays, and everybody makes it count. This truly will be an epic game between two teams who play outstanding defense and rush the ball extremely well. Here is the tough situation, is that neither team is going to lay it all out there. Neither team is going to be really pushing. I do like the Buffalo Bills in this game, though. I just think that Hundley is playing spectacular. Ducks has this unique way of finding weak areas in defense, even if neither team is trying super hard. I do like that the Tampa Bay Bucs are at home, but give me the Buffalo Bills in a 17-16 victory, as both teams kind of pump the brakes, don't show each other, play a little bit vanilla on both sides of the ball, and run the ball just a little bit more. So that is your game of the week for week number 15. Tune in later this weekend as we'll do a game of the week for week number 16. Thank you guys for listening. Good luck in your games. Playoffs are around the corner. Subscribe and like our YouTube channel. Check out Press Pass Live, which is also out. The website grownfolksoc.com. We will see you on the other side. Peace.